Well, happy holidays. Hi, everybody out there with Life for Cousin Patches. I've been talking about getting back to the basics lately, and I wanted to get back to some of the things that I've done in the beginning of when I first started the show. Some of y'all who are newcomers don't know that one night I hit the wrong button and erased everything that I had begun to do. So I had to reload everything back up. And some of the beginning flicks are unfinished or don't have commercials or it was the wrong take. But I was able to get it back some kind of way. So one of the things that I used to do around Christmas time was I used to read out of my love box. It's in my box of memories of boyfriends and loved ones and all the little things that kind of make my heart go pitter patter that I done kept over the years. Actually, this is the second box. The first box, my first boyfriend, well, I ain't gonna say first boyfriend, but my first love. Um, was jealous and he threw away the first box of all the high school cards and the high school letters and all that good stuff from guys before him. He threw that away in the dumpster in some project, and I was not getting ready to go through the dumpsters to get that. So I had to start a new one. So this box has been around for many, 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 many years. I say it's been over almost 20 years. So, with that being said, it is now story time. I have been going through my box, and one of the letters that I have gotten was from one of my loves from my youth, back in like 92. His name was Abram McKissick. Oh, Abram. He was such a good, strong man, and he was a loving man, and maybe just a tad bit a little older than what my mother would have preferred. But at a time that I needed somebody, he was there. I kept up with him over the years as I got older, and we never seemed to lose touch. Uh, Even though sometimes it had been quite some time before we heard from one another, somehow our path always seemed to cross. I think these are one of the ones that probably slipped through the cracks. For some of y'all don't know, I am a widow. And this young man here, Abram McKissick, had asked me to marry him once upon a time. And regretfully, I declined. Uh, but here, it went on for like almost 3 years. I didn't hear from him. So I set out my quest to try to find him again. And I couldn't find him nowhere. Everywhere I thought he'd be, he wasn't. So I had to take to the streets of Facebook. And when I took to the streets of Facebook, I messed around with his last name and came across his brother. And his brother had told me, he said, "It's mighty funny that you reached out to me. And it saddens me tremendously to tell you that Abram McKissick, his nickname we used to just call him Mick, had passed on. He was born December 27th, 1964, and he passed away November 17th, 2015. So even if I would have married him, I still would have been a widow. Well, oh, what a romance we had. Oh, what a romance we had. And it was a romance that was real. Probably one of the few men in my life that I actually felt safe and secure. Well, some years ago. This is him. Yeah, that was him. Very handsome man. I dated him when during my teenage years when I lived in Colorado Springs, during the emancipation of leaving mom's nest. He was who helped me through that time. Well, when I was looking through my box of letters, I really just kind of let my fingers just do the running through. And wherever I kind of land on, I pull out. And if you haven't heard it before, then that's a story that I'm going to go with. Well, I came across this letter. And at first glance, I didn't know who it was from when I was sitting here and I was started to read it. But it didn't take long, just a couple paragraphs. I knew who had wrote this to me without even having to go and look at the last page to see who was signed. It was the way he wrote and how he expressed his feelings for me that made me know that this was him. And it's crazy because I was deeply saddened when I found out he had passed. Wished I could have went back in time and spent more time with him. Oh, I was kind of naive and didn't really realize what a terrific man that stood before me. Oh, I tell you, they don't make men like this before. But for my Christmas story, my true life story, this is a letter that I received one Wednesday, October 4th, 2006, 10 years ago. I was missing him, so it really made me feel good inside when I read this letter. It says, "How are you?" "Fine, I know. I'm doing wonderful as long as I stay focused on the good things and the many blessings I have in my life. I have to give credit where credit is due. You, Carla, are the straw that stirs this drink. This is a very important day for me. It is my dearest departed grandmother's birthday. It's no wonder that love and good thoughts have been flowing so easily today. I know that you have letters coming from me before, but I just have to feel close to the ones that are closest to me. And you apparently and always and frequently crosses my mind. I talked to your brother on the night that you called. I wanted him to visit me at my new apartment too. It's nothing like the hole in the wall I used to have. Thanks to Ben, I have an extra set of new keys for you now. Mhm. Like me, I know that you have a affinity for beauty. Tonight, along with my spirit of acceptance, I've seen that I have been patient, that patience goes a long way with getting me what I want to have. Fortunately, you've helped me to see that a woman's touch was needed to be added to my life. Now, the only fortune I have is my sofa, a twin bed, of course, my king size waterbed. So I needed the touch of the finest woman I knew. This is the part where you can take a bow. Woo! I will. Then it goes on to say, Thursday, October 2006. I realized that you knew how to motivate me. I can be difficult. I'm very intelligent, and fortunately, you can tell that I have a good heart. Ironically, it's your good heart, that motivates my strength. I want you to know that making love to you is always a option for me. Not every man can be with you. I've always been able to acknowledge your inner beauty and be genuine somehow. You can tell whether I'm being genuine or not. You're more than worthy of my best. Like I said before, I have a fancy. Did you say a fancy? What? A fitting. Okay. Have a fascination. Okay. I'm sorry, I couldn't read through that. For your beauty. And definitely fill the voids of the lonely nights that I've had. Speaking of voids, I never have to worry about being fulfilled as long as you are here for me. There may be miles between us, but you are always close to my heart. I never forget one of the most important lessons learned when you left in 92. I couldn't find anyone that could fulfill my heart with love like you were able to. I took dancing at the club to another level. You taught me how to be comfortable with myself. And if I wasn't good enough for you, then if I was good enough for you, then I was good enough for anyone. because it still doesn't get any better than you. Oh, I'm at my best when we're together. I never knew a love that compares to yours. Fortunately, I knew you were the real thing. As long as I'm with you, I definitely know I'll be cared for. You'll make my life so much easier because all I need to do is focus on you. It's just that simple. It took him 2 days to write it because it ended Friday, October 7th, 2006. Your beloved Mick. That was so beautiful. Oh, I needed to hear that. Oh, how I needed to hear that. Them beautiful words and them thoughts touch me so deep within my heart and soul. I may not hear these words from anyone else in life, but the fact that I've heard it at least once in my life, I've been blessed. I've been heard it a couple more times than once. But once that I really knew that was truly genuine, that came from Abel McKissick. Oh, I took a fancy to him. It was crazy because he worked at McDonald's and he also worked at this, it's called NCR. It was some type of disc company where they made disc of some sort. And I used to go to that McDonald's after school a lot, high school. And he was 11 years older than me. So, my mom did not take fancy of me dating a guy of this age. But my life had took such drastic turns. I was going through some trials and tribulations, some lessons learned, and a very eye-opening experience that I was going through. But no matter what I was going through, every time I went to that McDonald's, he was there. He was a manager there at that. He used to say, "Oh, here comes my favorite little school lady. Be sure to give her an apple pie on me." Well, McDonald's wasn't playing when they said that place was a safe place because I found a safety net and a safe place to lay my heart and rest my soul and my spirit and my worries. I found refuge with this man. Oh, I was young. I wasn't quite 18. I was 9 months before I was going to turn 18 when I had left my mom's home. She didn't realize I was already secretly seeing him. But when I left my mom's house, it wasn't it wasn't all peaches and cream all the time. So when I left my mom's house, it was kind of a little turbulence that was going on. And he told me, just come over there. Don't worry about nothing. Don't look back, that he had me. My mom didn't know where he lived at. And nobody else did either, besides a few close friends that knew that I was dating this older man. Well, I took refuge at his apartment. And it's crazy that he mentioned that waterbed, because he had a big, huge, king-size waterbed with a back leather backing. Sleigh bed. It was beautiful. His home was humble, nothing really fancy. But when I got there, I added my little touch. I remember my first real Sunday dinner that I so called myself fixing for my man. My mother had taught me a few things, but I left home in the midst of my teachings. And so I was tackling the roast. And honey, I tell you, when that roast was done, that roast was tough like thick leather. I done dried it out. I done overcooked it, and I done cooked it too high, and it was dry. And I don't care, not even the most succulent gravy could have helped that dry ass roast. Abram ate that roast anyway. I couldn't even chew it and get it down, so I only ate the potatoes and the carrots that was slightly overcooked and scorched. I couldn't eat that roast. But my Abram, my Mick, he ate that roast, even took some for lunch, and told me that it was the best roast that he ever had. And even though I knew that that roast was lousy, he was just happy to have someone to cook for him, just for him. And not just someone, that someone who really cared for him and wanted it to be good for him. Food for his soul. That was the kind of man that he was. Thoughtful, caring, loving. Oh, everybody wanted my Mick, honey. Everybody. I wasn't quite old enough to get in the clubs, but he was already going to the clubs. And while he was at the club, sometime I have a lot of my little girlfriends over and my little guy friends over, and we'll just be kind of partying. And we'll just be kind of partying and whatnot until Mick get home. And then when Mick got home, I'll tell all my friends bye. But I was young. And there was this girl named Ursula. And Ursula was this little Puerto Rican little bombshell that was a friend of mine. And this is how I learned that you don't let these women come stay in your house with your man. Well, what happened was is that just as soon as it was time for me to part ways with him because I was not of age. My mom heard that I was living with a man that was older than me, and she found out where I was at, and she sent the police, and they was coming for me and tried to report me as a runaway, which I beg to differ. And they was coming to take me away. And they did just that. They came, took me away, and took me to this little group home or whatever, but, I didn't stay. So I was in a group home for maybe a month. And finally, when I was able on one of our outings to escape, I had Mick come and get me. Well, Mick came and got me, and I went back to his place, so forth. And the plan was to get me a ticket for me to leave to Kentucky, and I will return when I come back of age because I will be almost 18. Well, during the time that I was locked up, I ain't gonna say it was locked up. To me, it was like I was locked up, but I was actually in a group home or whatever. And since they said that I was a runaway, it was, it was almost like a form of punishment. So whether I was put out, I ran away, everybody went to a group home whenever that happens. And it didn't feel like, it didn't feel like home. It really didn't. It felt like a facility for kids that maybe had committed some crimes. Even though some of them kids were just there just because their parents just kicked them the hell out, you know? And some of them ain't committed any crimes at all. But I knew I wasn't going to stay. And I knew I was going to find my way back to Mick. And I was there. And on night number 2, I guess Ursula didn't get the memo. But she just pops up over to his house. So I'm like, what are you coming over here for? Shit, I was in town. And that's when she kind of told me that she's been coming over here keeping him company while I was off into my little group home or whatnot. So I was heated by the time Mick came home from work or whatnot, and I was ready to kick her ass too. But I needed to hear both sides of the fucking story. But either way it goes, she done already told me that she's been keeping him company. And I knew something more that had happened. So, Mick came home and, he told me that she did come over there to try to do a little things and help him a little bit. And Mick didn't have no kids, so I don't know what the fuck she needed to help him for. But, to make it kind of a long story short, he admitted that he slept with her. And even though I was going to be boarding on a bus to go to Kentucky, I knew in my heart that after he did that to me, like I wasn't even gone number like 3.5 weeks, damn near a month. And you sleeping with one of my friends? I mean, oh my God. But he was in his 20s. And Ursula, she was a hot ass. And apparently she was displaced in life too. So, her little backstory ain't all that great herself. But he slept with her. And me knowing that he slept with her, and I don't know if it's the fact that she was Puerto Rican, light skinned with good hair, that I felt that after he had been with her, he really couldn't really truly have loved me. Because if he loved me, wouldn't he would have slept with somebody more in my image? But instead, he done slept with fucking Ursula's little hot Puerto Rican ass. And so I don't know. I just don't think I had the confidence to know or feel that I was the woman and what he really had wanted because he had slept with Ursula. So even though I told him I had forgiven him, when he put me on that Greyhound bus to go to Kentucky, I knew in my heart of hearts I was not coming back when I turned 18 to be with Mick because, hell, I ain't had nothing but like almost 2 more months before it was time for me to be 18 anyway. And if you did all that in the month time that I was in the group home, then imagine what you're going to do while I'm gone. And I'm a possessive type woman. So I held that grudge for a little while, some years. But every time I went back home to Colorado, I would go see old Mick. Every time. He used to work out a whole lot, take long jogs, do a lot of dancing. Really kind of he was a humble man, and it was cute. He had his little it was like almost like a wave nouveau back there, and it wasn't really a curl. Um but it was like almost like a wave nouveau, like a little duke in his head, and he had like this almost like a mohawk, but not quite. It was like more like a faux hawk, more like a kind of a DC fade. And he had this tail that he was growing back then. The tails was in that was a little curly, and he never felt that he was the most handsomest thing on the block, but. I made him feel like he was the most sexiest thing on the face of the fucking earth. And what drew me to him was his humbleness, the way he spoke to the people, and how he had compassion for someone else. And That's what drew me to Mick. He was a loving person. And where he was shy, I brought that out, honey, because even though I couldn't go out to them clubs, honey, at night when he used to come home, I used to be playing Gerald Levert. And, honey, I want you to school me, teach me. All that would be playing in the background. And he used to sing, "A house ain't a home without a woman." And when he got back, I would try to always look my little best. And we'll just dance in the living room. And we'll dance with each other. And I just, I made him feel comfortable within his own skin because I was comfortable in mine. And I thought he was lacking a little bit of self-confidence. And whatever somebody that's important to me, whoever my mate is in my life, I tried to help build up what they might be lacking. And confidence was one of them. So I was always doting over him. And I guess it wasn't until I started doting over him that Ursula actually thought that he was cute enough, to be with. But after the years passed, I found old Ursula too, as well. And her story's kind of crazy because she turned out, being on drugs pretty bad and lost her children and got them back again and lost weight and gained weight. But when I seen her, she was a little chubby. Matter of fact, a lot chubby. She was living across from my mom, and her struggles and life battles was far worse and more tremendous than what I was facing in my life. So I was able to forgive her eventually too within time. But I never fully took him back. He was energetic, like I said, and loved to dance and work out. And he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And it was killing him. And when I went to Colorado to see him, he had lost a lot of his motor skills. But the motor skills that mattered the most, he still had. And I know he did not feel when I seen him, I know in the back of his mind he thought that since he wasn't as strong as he was or as youthful as he was, that I wasn't going to be attracted to him or have that type of chemistry with him that we once had. But he was sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken, because even though he was in his wheelchair and he was kind of into the little computer thing, it's pretty much all he can't do is peck at some keys. And I seen him in his little ran down apartment, a lot different than what it was when we was together. He's kind of almost a shell of a man of what he used to be. I played it no man. I turned on, matter of fact, it was Mariah Carey. I had a vision of love that I stuck in the tape cassette. And I act like I never left. I immediately want something to drink. I ain't been in his newer place ever. But as soon as I got there, I picked up just like I had left off. I cooked him dinner. At the end of the night, I helped him bathe. At the end of the night, I helped him get into his bed. And when he got in his bed, he thought that his night was going to be over. But I knew he was a man that loved me and was still attracted to me. So it didn't matter to me that he wasn't mobile like he was. But there were still some parts of his body that still worked. Yes, it was. Mm-hmm. And I knew he needed to feel like a man. And I gave myself to him that night. So the night that he was referring to, that last night that I had made love to him, I seen a tear falling down his eye when I was on top. There was a little night light on. He said, "You know you don't have to do this." I said, "I don't have to." So, but once you stay attracted to someone, you stay attracted to them. It doesn't matter, because I was in love with his soul, his spirit, the history that he played in my life, showing me unconditional love. And even though, yes, he was once weak to a flesh, I knew I always had something special, meant something special to him in his heart, and he meant something to mine. And I wanted him to feel like a whole, complete man again. And I rocked his world that night. Yes, I did. Rocked his world. That was the last night that I slept with him, and we slept together and we did some things. But soon after that, he had called and he had proposed, because I've always kept with him, and he was writing, and he proposed to me. And at that time, I was just a little bit too busy in life, and I wish I wasn't, because I turned him down. If I could turn back time, I would have never turned him down. But I don't know, maybe the Lord was sparing me. Maybe he was sparing me. Because, if I would have had to bury him after years of marriage, and I've already buried one husband, if I buried number two, I don't know, I think it would have broke something inside of me. So, that is the end of my love story, my Christmas curl. Mr. Abram McKissick. He was from Detroit, Michigan. Yes, he was. He was from Detroit, Michigan, honey. And he had some brothers and sisters, and that he spent the last of his years with. He actually went back to Detroit, Michigan to spend the rest of his time there, all to his passing. And the moment I started to look for him again, I didn't look long before I found out that I was only a couple moons short from the time that he took his last breath. So I love you. I dedicate this video to you, Mr. Abram McKissick. Whew. I love you. Thank you for the memories. I believe you was the one that got away. Yeah, he was the one that got away. So until next time, don't forget to tell a friend, to tell their mama, tell their daddy, tell their brothers, tell their cousins, even their enemies, to subscribe to Life with Cousin Patches. Yes. Mwah. Smooches. And don't forget to subscribe to Candy at Sweet Additions TV. Yes. So continue to support us, honey. And I'm going to get that gospel channel back up and running, because Mom's been kind of busy to deal with it. And I think I needed a little bit more Jesus in my life, because I didn't feel short a little bit. It hasn't been haven't been in my Bible the way I should have. So, you know, till next time. Oh, till next time. Smooch your sugars. Mwah.